To understand education today, we must look back in history. 150 years ago, people in Thailand and in the USA and all over the world worked on the land, outdoors, with hand tools in small groups. They did not travel far. The work did not change much from generation to generation. Daughters did the same work as their mothers and their grandmothers and their mothers before them, with the same tools. They talked as they worked. Same for the sons and the fathers and the grandfathers. Work groups included both old and young. The technology of work changed slowly. When the tools broke, the people could fix them. We can call this Workplace 1.0. Now let us look at the schools of those days. The students learned on the land, outdoors, in small groups. They did not travel far. They used simple hand tools. Work groups included both old and young. Fathers and grandfathers went to the same school and learned the same things. We can call this Education 1.0. Education and the workplace matched exactly. The school produced the kinds of citizens needed by the world around it. Someone who could work well in a small group with hand tools, performing a variety of tasks each day with a clear view of the world outside and a small circle of connections. 50 years later, however, the workplace changed. People went to work in factories with mechanical tools. They worked in large groups, but they worked alone at the machine. Everybody did the same thing at the same time, all day long. They were not allowed to talk. They used paper and pencil and sat at desks. They were not very happy. And they were closely supervised. Let us call this Workplace 2.0. This new workplace required a new set of skills and a new kind of citizen. And so the schools changed to match the needs of the new industrial economy. Students were formed into large groups, all of the same age. They were closed inside and worked according to the clock. They used mechanical tools, paper and pencil. They all did the same thing at the same time. They were closely supervised. Let us call this Education 2.0. Again, education matched the workplace. In both places, people worked alone, but in large groups. They used mechanical tools. They did the same thing all day and had little connection with the world outside. Now, let us look at the workplace of today. Workplace 3.0, very different from the factory. Most people today work in small groups. They solve problems together. They use digital tools. They present new ideas to each other. Robots do the mechanical work. People with clean hands reprogram the robots when things go wrong. People in Workplace 3.0 work on problems that no one has ever seen before. They must bring to bear chemistry, mathematics, biology, history, and literature to solve the problem. They must gather information from many sources, most of it on the network, arriving in many different formats. They must be multitaskers. They talk with each other at work. They use digital tools for communication. They work with a wide circle of people all over the world. Let's call this Workplace 3.0. Now, let us take our camera into the schools of today and see if education has changed to meet the needs of the new economy. What do we see in these schools? We see students in large groups using paper and pencil tools. They all do the same thing at the same time. They enjoy very few connections to the world outside, and they are closely supervised. They do the same thing all day long. They seldom talk with each other. They are not happy. What's wrong? Education in most schools has not changed to meet the needs of the world around it. Today's workplace demands people who can work in small groups to solve problems, use digital tools, perform many different tasks during the day without close supervision and with a large circle of connections. Most schools are not doing this. They have not invented Education 3.0. They're still doing Education 2.0. The question for us is, what should Education 3.0 look like in order to produce the kinds of citizens and workers that we need for today and tomorrow? Let's visit UTCC to see what Education 3.0 looks like. We'll follow a student through a day in the life. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is to connect to iTunes U on my iPad. I need to make sure I'm ready for today's class meetings. All of my courses are posted on iTunes U, where I find the readings, the assignments, the homework, and for most of my courses, all the materials I need to succeed. For each week of work, I see what the objectives are, the things I must learn. I see what I need to do before class to prepare. I see what we're going to do during our 3 hours in the classroom with the teacher. And I see what I'll need to do after the class is over to prove what I have learned. And the materials I need for learning are just a tap away. I tap the item on my iPad and it shows up right on the display. Our teachers have posted 459 UTCC courses on iTunes this way, more than any other school in Thailand. Right now, the enrollment in these courses totals more than 12,000, and our teachers have posted more than 14,000 items of learning materials for us, including readings, data collections, worksheets, online discussions, research reports, and textbooks. Before class, I go to my iPad to see the content that my teacher has posted for me to read. It might be a chapter from a textbook, or a research article from a journal, or a data set on a spreadsheet. Why do I do this homework before class? Because I know that we will have a quick quiz at the opening of the class session. I'll see the questions on my iPad, and the teacher monitors our answer on the big screen so he knows who's done the homework. Our teacher can analyze the results right away so he can see what he needs to concentrate on in today's lesson. And I could see for myself how well I have understood the concept. As soon as the quiz is over, it took less than 5 minutes, we start to learn. We'll all open the textbook on our iPads and review the basic concepts with the teacher. Now, on my way to my next class, I review the concepts that our teacher has assigned for us to learn before the class. As you can see, I use my iPad everywhere, all day long. My next class is completely different. The teacher walks around the room with her iPad in her hand, reviewing the content. In this case, it's the statistics of the normal distribution, while we follow along on our iPads. Once we've reviewed the concepts, our teacher gives us a real-world example of it, which we must use our iPad spreadsheet to solve. Sometimes we work by ourselves, and sometimes she makes us solve the problem in small groups, the same way they solve problems in the real world of business. I experience many new ways of learning at UTCC. Sometimes our teacher assigns a project to a group of us. This is usually a complex problem from the real world that has no easy answer. We work together on it, using our iPads to research the background of the problem and to learn the concepts necessary to understand it. When we've come to a conclusion, we present our solution and the supporting facts to the teacher and to the other groups in the class, right from our iPads through the Apple TV. As each group presents, the rest of us comment and analyze their conclusions using the discussion board on iTunes U. Our time in the classroom is full of interactive work with the contents of the course. Classes are over for the day, but my work is not. Most of my courses include an assignment to do after class, which I must submit to the teacher. I'll get my iPad out and continue my work. You see, a day in the life today at UTCC is very different from what it was just 2 years ago. I feel I'm preparing myself for the modern world of work.